I'm watching a courtside seat of this whole drama unfold with this issue of Donald Sterling having a mental breakdown and basically spewing out all his feelings about how he feels about black people and Magic Johnson, and you shouldn't associate with black people and all this other kind of stuff. I have another issue when it comes to this, and it's not so much of what he said or how he feels. Everybody has a right to feel however they want to feel. People don't want to hang out with black people. You don't have to. You don't want to be associated with black people, but you can use them to make money. While you're making money off of them, they're making money off of you. And I say exchange is no robbery. You know, you're walking away from the table with something, and so is he. But that's not the issue. The issue has been the constant changing of every other Tom, Dick, and Harry who wants to jump into this thing and then give their opinion based on nothing but their emotions, not on any kind of legal grounds. He made some comments about Magic Johnson, and saying that, you know, he didn't want to bring him to the, you know, he didn't want his girlfriend to bring him to the game. Magic Johnson all of a sudden comes up on TV, fool-ass Negro that he is, starts saying nonsense about, you don't deserve to have this team. You shouldn't own this team. Unless I'm mistaken, pays his players pretty well to play. These aren't guys who are working minimum wage. These guys, all these guys are quote unquote rich. Since when does liking a person have to be a prerequisite for doing business? If I don't particularly like another ethnic group, or they don't like me, but we both see an opportunity that we can both make a nice profit running an honest business, then I say nothing's wrong with that, because I'm not working for you, or you're not working for me because you like me or because you like me personally. We both see an opportunity, and that's where we put our heads together to make this money. When you hear nonsense like Magic Johnson saying that this man shouldn't own his team because somehow they found out that he's a racist. Now, if that was the case, then nobody should own a business, because most of the big businesses that are run in this country are run by either current racists or past racists. That's why the power structure has always been in the hands of the white elite in this country. So if that's the case, you shouldn't work for any of them. Of all people, Jesse Jackson chiming in, Mr. Extortion himself. He's calling for a boycott, that everybody should boycott the LA Clippers until either Donald Sterling steps down, or they come to some kind of mutual understanding, with maybe an apology. What he's not telling you is that what Jesse Jackson does is that he sees an issue just like this. This is a perfect opportunity for him, and he inserts himself. He sees an opportunity to be able to profit on this controversy as he's always done. Example, back in the 90s, there was an issue with Budweiser, and Budweiser had a few workers who were complaining about being discriminated against, and they had documentation and they have records and everything else to prove that they were being discriminated against. Before this thing went public, Jesse Jackson goes up to Budweiser and then says, okay, well listen, you know, we can either blow the lid on this thing, or we can work out a deal. Mysteriously, 2 years later, both of his sons, one Yusuf Jackson, and I forget what the other one's name is, are both appointed as regional distributors for Budweiser. So now they're raking in the dough. This is not a position that is just given to somebody. These guys were actually handpicked by Budweiser. And this had to have been part of the backroom deal that was discussed as an extortion tactic to have Budweiser give him a little something so he won't sick the stupid black people on him. Jesse Jackson is only in it for himself. He never shows up if there's no real money to be made. He never shows up. He won't say a word. He's lost credibility, you know, time and time again. in the past. I mean, first of all, shouldn't you be, I mean, didn't you just get outed a few years ago for having an illegitimate child, Mr. Reverend, Mr. Morality? You were paying the kids college tuition for years and still claiming that you somehow have a higher, holier than thou moral compass than anyone else around you? You fucking hypocrite. When you hear Magic Johnson saying that he's not suitable for owning a franchise, really? What if somebody came to you and told you, because you were a womanizer and because you were running the streets screwing every chick that you met when you were in the NBA, and for that reason you contracted AIDS, that's not a very good role model being set for the children. You shouldn't own all of the theaters and all the other businesses that you have. You don't deserve that. How would you feel about that? How would you feel about that? And what we're doing here is that we're setting a very dangerous precedent when it comes to demonizing people in the media. Because now, if you look at this, if you look at the narrative now, what's happening? If you are a racist or labeled a racist, they almost give themselves carte blanche to be able to do anything they want to you. Now, if you're a racist, you're not allowed to have a business now. You shouldn't have that business because you're a racist. You shouldn't be entitled or be able to feed your family or to be able to feed hundreds of other people. The LA Clippers is a huge franchise. A lot of people are getting paid with this. A lot of people have jobs due to the LA Clippers. It's a lousy team until this year, but that's besides the point. Now, when you have people like Jesse Jackson coming here thinking that, oh, well, you know, I'm going to stick the black people on you until I get a little something and put you in place, you have no idea what's really going on behind the scenes. And this narrative that I'm talking about, where a racist has less rights than anyone else because he's a racist, he doesn't have a right to his property anymore. He doesn't have a right to make a living. He doesn't have a right to live the American dream, which is the pursuit of happiness and all of that. You're seeing the same exact thing happen in the media with Cliven Bundy. They're changing the narrative from how the government is actually trying to rip him off, and they're breaking their own laws. He spoke out of term, and he said some things that might not have been politically correct in describing black people. All of a sudden, he shouldn't have a right to his property either. But you see where this is going. Eventually, any little thing that you do to offend society could be used as an excuse for them to take your property away from you. Now, this is the other problem that I have. Why is it that black people are the only ones who are always knocking on the door to be down with a group that doesn't want them to be down with them? It's almost like saying, I should have a right, as a black man, I should have a right to go into a Klan meeting because it's not fair that you're blocking me out. Who wants to be someplace that they're not wanted besides black people? Why would you want to be down with, why would you want to be part of an organization that wants nothing to do with you? Why would you want to do that? This is one of the backlashes of integration. This is one of the unintended consequences of the civil rights movement from the 60s. Instead of you beating down the door for somebody else to let you into their establishment, you could just continue having your own establishment. And before you know it, you have economic growth within your own community. Instead of knocking and begging on somebody else's door to let me in, please let me in. It's not fair. Let's take, for example, the Asian community. Do you ever notice that in a black community, or any other community for that matter, if you see a laundromat or a Chinese restaurant or another Asian establishment, the only time you will see those people is when they're doing business. When they shut down their gates for the night, you don't see them because they're not fucking with you like that. All they want to do is do business. That's it. They don't want to hang out with you. They don't want their kids hanging out with you, right? They don't want their kids picking up any of your bad habits. That's why you don't even see these people. These people are like invisible outside of business hours. They're invisible. And when they are letting their hair down, you can see them down in Atlantic City on the crap tables, the high roller tables, tossing those ones up, just tossing them up. That's what they do for fun. And I don't mean to stereotype. They enjoy the fruits of their labor. They don't want to be part of they don't want to be part of the black community. They don't want to be part of any other community other than their own. And you'll notice that any area that they move into, they bring economic development to the area. They run shit in their neighborhoods. The Asians have their own Asian parade. They have their own neighborhoods. They have their own communities. They regulate things in their community. They are not trying to be part of anything. They already know who they are. And they're not looking to assimilate to anybody else's culture. They're looking to work within the framework of the culture to be able to make a living for themselves and their family and to further their own personal agenda as a people. But they're not trying to be part. They're not trying to become what the environment in which they work in. They're not trying to be part of that environment in that way. So why, after all of this time, we're sitting here begging again? This is 2014. We're still begging. I guess the thing that surprises me the most of this whole issue is that it still surprises people that you have racists in very high places. So who cares if he's a racist? If I'm an LA player, as long as my check doesn't bounce and I came here to do a job, my job is to run up and down the court and score points and bring money towards this franchise. And for that, I get paid handsomely. What the fuck is wrong with that? Who cares what the man thinks of you personally? This is business. And this is the problem. People are constantly, in the black community, constantly equating business, mixing business with personal issues. One thing has nothing to do with the other. If we're both benefiting, it's a mutual agreement that we're both going into. That should be it. Other communities, let's say the Jewish community, right? If you would have said anything like this about them, you would have been shut down yesterday. They would have shut you down yesterday because they're not having that. Because they are in positions of power and positions of control. They're in the music industry, they're in the film industry, they're in fashion industry. Every major industry, one of the most lucrative industries, they're heavily involved in. And they do stick together. So if you say something bad about one, they will turn on you. They can turn on you because they're the ones who are holding all the cards. They don't need you. Once we can understand that, these type of things won't bother us. If Jesse Jackson is saying all the players on the Clippers should boycott and not show up for work, you know what I would do as an owner? Forget about being racist and being, I'm a white bigot. Besides all of that, you broke the contract. Because my contract was for you to play, and now you don't want to play, I'd fire every last one of you motherfuckers. And then after I fire you, then I'd sell the franchise. I wonder if Jesse Jackson and Magic Johnson are going to offer you a job.